Welcome to the confusing world of travel nursing pay. If you don't know what all these terms mean, like blended rate, hourly rate, gross income, stipend, net income, if you have no idea what any of these mean, and when recruiters are talking to you, it goes way over your head, you're in luck, because in this video, we're going to be breaking down what all these terms mean, and we're going to be breaking down that cake and going layer by layer, and I'll be showing you exactly what each part of a contract is, so that way you don't get bamboozled and you get to keep all your money. So travel nurse salaries are much different than regular permanent staff salaries. Travel compensation includes housing, meals, lodging, travel expenses, medical insurance, and there's so many layers to it. And when you ask what is the rate, that's just only one slice or one layer of the total cake. So in order to compare packages and to know exactly what you're going to be getting paid, you have to look at the whole cake and not just one layer of it, not just the hourly rate component. So in this next section, I'm going to be talking about what all those terms mean, and so I hope you stay tuned. So let's discuss what are all the parts of the cake. So there's a whole bunch of terms that gets thrown out there when you're just entering the travel nursing field, like hourly rate, gross income, net income, stipends, all your taxes. There's so many terms that you can get lost in the sauce and not know exactly what each of these terms mean. So first step, we're going to go over exactly what all of the terms mean. So your hourly rate is what you're probably used to as getting paid at your regular staff job. So your hourly rate is what your taxed income rate is as a travel nurse, which is the same thing as your staff job. So your hourly rate could be $20 per hour. Next, we're going to talk about meals, housing, and incidentals, often called, sometimes it's just called a stipend, but it is broken down to meals and lodging. So that's one, I refer to it as a stipend, but some companies break it down into meals and housing. So that is the non-taxable part of your income. So when you see meals, housing, or if it says M and IE, that's meals and incidentals, or some places will just refer to it as a stipend. And going forward in this video, I'm going to be referring to it as a stipend. So this is your non-taxable portion of your income. Next is what people call the blended rate. So this is actually the hourly rate plus your stipend divided by the week. So it breaks down the stipend into an hourly part and then combines it with the actual taxable part. So a blended rate is your taxable hourly rate plus your non-taxable stipend on an hourly basis. So if that's kind of confusing right now, keep watching, and then in the next couple segments, I'll be breaking down 3 different contracts and showing you exactly how a blended rate is calculated. But know that a blended rate is your hourly rate, so you're the taxable portion, plus your non-taxable portion on an hourly basis. Overtime hourly rate, this is the same as your when you're working your staff job. So overtime is taxable, and it'll show up on your pay stubs as overtime. Gross income is your income before your taxes, deductions, insurance, and any other deductions that you have with the company. Your net income is your take-home pay after all those deductions. So that's after taxes, after 401k, health insurance, and this is actually the amount of money that is going directly into your bank account. So this is the money that you're going to be getting to spend. So that's why I like to look at the take-home net pay. And in my calculations going forward, I'll show you how to actually calculate that. And taxes. Unfortunately, we can't avoid taxes, so we have to pay them one way or another. And one tip here is, as a travel nurse, you can go to states that don't have state income taxes. So this is a way to lessen your tax burden by going to states that don't have an income tax. So I'm going to list all the states that don't have an income tax. So first I want to talk about some general guidelines before we get into breaking down the contracts. So ideally, since the taxable portion is your hourly rate, you want that to be low, and you want your stipends to be maxed out because those are the non-taxable part. So that way you're bringing home more money. If you don't have to pay taxes on that money, then you get to keep that, right? So that's just kind of a general guideline. When I look at contracts, I try to see if we can maybe negotiate the hourly rate and try to increase the stipend. And in a further video, I'll be talking about stipends and how to find how you can find out what the stipend should be and how do you know if they're giving you a fair rate on that. Your task then becomes to compare the total value of the cake. Different agencies quote values in different ways. Some agencies give you a monthly amount for the whole month, some quote it by the hour, some quote it by the week. And your job is to convert it all to a common denominator, which is time. So you can't compare apples to oranges. Meaning, if you want to compare a weekly gross amount to an hourly rate, it's just not going to equal the same, and you're not going to be able to really visualize how much you're either gaining or losing by taking one contract over the other. In order to compare contracts, we have to convert everything to a single time denominator. And there's 4 different intervals that you can convert to. So you can go by the hour, by the week, by the month, and by the whole overall contract. So how much are you going to be making in all 3 of those months? So first you need to select a time interval that you want to convert all your figures to. And I'm going to show you a general formula that I like to use. So I like to calculate based on the take-home net pay. And now we're going to switch to the iPad mode, and we're going to be talking about how to compare the different contracts, and I'll guide you exactly how I do the take-home net pay calculations and explain all these terms in a much more real way so that it makes sense. So I hope you stay tuned.
So in this portion of the video, we're going to be breaking down 3 separate contracts and looking at exactly how to calculate your pay package. And I'll be showing you a couple of different ways to calculate it based on the time increment. So looking at it hourly, weekly, and monthly. And with this diagram here that I kind of drew, I just wanted to, again, kind of hit home the different ways you can calculate your pay. So the gross weekly, gross daily, gross monthly estimates, those are all before taxes. And then your take-home net pay, which if you calculate it on a weekly, daily, or monthly basis, that is all after taxes. And I hope that kind of clarifies that and makes it a little bit easier, because for me it was confusing at times, sometimes to hear the gross pay, but then when you look at your check, you're not nearly making that, after taxes and deductions and stuff. So I personally like to look at take-home net pay. That's my favorite way to look at calculating pay packages so that I can know kind of what a true, a better estimate would be of what I'm actually going to be taking home and getting to spend. So with that, this is the general formula that I like to use to calculate take-home net pay per week. So on a weekly basis. So step 1 is to find your hourly rate and calculate that by the hours worked. So for example, if you're going to be making $30 an hour and you're going to be working 36 hours, that will be, let me calculate that out because I can't do math in my head, is $1,080. So step 2 is to find your stipend amounts and convert to weekly rate. So let's say your stipends are going to be, I don't know, $1,500 per week. Step 3 is to calculate your taxes. And you're probably wondering, how can you estimate that? And I'll show you how you can use that using Paycheck City here in a little bit. But let's say, for example, I don't know, your taxes are going to be $700 per week. Step 4 is where the calculations come in. So using step 1, total, subtract that minus your taxes. So gross pay minus taxes will be $1,080. You know, I'm gonna actually change colors here so it makes it a little bit easier. $1,080 minus $700 per week is $380 per week. So not looking the best right there, but we'll just use this as an example here. Then step 5 is to add in stipend. So now we're going to add in the $1,500 a week stipend for a total of $1,880 per week. This is my way of calculating calculating the take-home net pay, and I think it gives the best estimate of how much you're actually going to be taking home. But I'll take you through 3 different contract examples, and I'll show you so many different ways to calculate it, and you can figure out what's your best way and what makes sense for you. So we will look at this contract here. So this is contract number 1 here, and it's laid out pretty nicely here, the way it describes everything. So your base pay is $60 for 36 hours. So that is a weekly amount of $2,160. And since they're kind of giving you everything in a weekly amount here, that's what we'll start with here. Your overtime rate is $90 an hour, but what's not included in this package right here is it's not stating exactly after how many hours worked will you be getting this overtime pay. So, you know, is it after 40 hours? So like your 41st hour, you'll be getting the $90 an hour. So you need to just clarify that with the recruiter and make sure that's in the contract. And now see how the meals and incidentals and the housing subsidy are separated. Like I said, some agencies like to break it down like this, or some will just say, you know, this will be together and it'll just say stipend here. But it kind of lays it out nicely for you here. But this part is the stipend. So your daily stipend for meals is $43 a day, which is a total of $301. And your monthly is $3,500, and it's $805 per week. Now, I kind of did the calculation, and I don't know what they're actually using, because 3,500 divided by 4 is 875 actually a week. So I don't know how many weeks they're actually calculating to get that 805. I actually think it's wrong. So we're going to not do that here, and we'll say it's with 4 weeks in a month, we'll do 875. They could be doing, let's see, 3,500 divided by 5. Nope, that's 700. So see, actually this is something to clarify with the recruiter, because it's kind of not the correct math. It's not math. The mathing is not making sense here. So we'll say it's actually 875 per week. So right now, let's look at a weekly amount here. So first, we will look at how to calculate it on a weekly gross pay. So you have your base pay at $2,160. Then you have your stipends. Whoops. Your stipends of $301 and the other housing stipend at $875. So that ends up being a total of $3,336 a week. So now, if we go back to this page where I talk about how to calculate the take-home net pay, the missing piece in my formula here is taxes. So how can we estimate our taxes? The best way that I found is to go to paycheckcity.com, and I'm going to show you how to use that site here. So this is paycheckcity.com, and it offers a free calculator for calculating your salary, your hourly rate, and then there's some other things that you can use if you want to. But I like to use the hourly calculator, and what it does here, you select a state, but then you put in your hourly rate, and it'll estimate your gross pay for you. And you can also enter your W-4 information. So, are you working 2 jobs? Do you have dependents, other deductions? Are you withholding extra? And you can fill out all this information to make it as accurate as possible. So now let's do net pay here. Actually, I'll change colors. Net weekly pay. So we have $1,556. So here we would be minusing the taxes here to get that. And then we just move over the stipend amount for the housing and the meals. So you will actually be getting $2,732 per week. A roundabout, maybe you can subtract off $100 more for insurance or if you're going to do 401k, but this kind of gives you a better estimate. And as you can see, that's a $604 difference, which I think makes a difference, especially if you're trying to budget and see if it's worth it to go to Virginia, for example. Can you actually live off of this amount while having to pay your own mortgage / apartment plus pay housing and transportation in another state, So we did the weekly pay, and then we can go to a monthly if you would like. And all you would have to do is just, multiply that times 4. That's $10,928 a month. And the weekly gross pay equals out to be $13,344 a month. So this is the monthly part here. And then you have $43 per day. But how I like to calculate that out is your weekly stipend amount, $301 divided by 36. So 301 divided by 36 is 8.36. So that's actually how much of the meals stipend you're getting paid per hour that you're working. And we do the same thing with the housing subsidy. So we divide 875 divided by 36 is $24.30 per hour that you're working. So that's 60 plus 8.36 plus 24.30. That is $92.66 per hour that you're working. And this is actually what recruiters will refer to as the blended rate. Because as you see here, we did the hourly rate and then we added in the stipend amounts here. So that's how you get to the blended rate. I personally don't really worry about calculating a blended rate. To me, it doesn't really offer any value unless you want to maybe compare it to what you're working at your staff job. I like to look at how much am I actually making per week or on a monthly basis. So the hourly part is not so much as important to me. Okay, so we will move on to the second contract now. So this is, I found this actually on Facebook, and as you can see, it's not nearly as laid out as nicely as the other one. So they are saying it's an opening for an OR/RN in Allentown, Pennsylvania, offering $3,024. And see how you can see it's like, is this gross? You know, big question mark here. Is it gross, weekly? You know, what is this $3,000? I'm gonna assume it's gross pay. And as you can see here, right away they're giving you that blended rate and $84 an hour. It says $51 an hour on the W-2, so that means taxes right here. When it says W-2, that means your taxable income. And then you have $1,188 for the weekly stipend. And it's not broken down into meals and housing here. And it tells you that it's 36 hours on nights, you know, and you know, your minimal experience. So let's calculate it out here, right? So it's $51 per hour and $1,188 per week. Now we know to divide that number by the hours worked. And so that's $33 an hour. And if you add 33 plus 51, that's how you get that blended rate of $84 an hour. So again, this is not very useful for me, so I don't really calculate this much out. Next, we will move on into the weekly gross and weekly net pay. All right, so we are making $51 times 36, which will be $1,836. And remember, this is the taxable part. Plus, now we add in the stipend, which is $1,188, which will give us a total $3,024 per week. And then to calculate the net pay, I'll show you this slide again here. So we'll go through the hourly rate. We find the stipend, convert it to a weekly rate if they haven't already. We figure out the taxes, or we can use paycheckcity.com to just kind of skip this step. And then we add in the stipend. So we have $1,836 for our gross pay. But how much is actually what we will be taking home? So let's go back to paycheckcity.com, and we're in Pennsylvania making $51 an hour. And we are making $51 an hour for 36 an hour. And our net pay will be $1,382.81. So again, it calculates out everything for you, which is great. I'm gonna put an X through this. Whoops. 1,382 is our net. Then we add in the stipend here, which is 1,188. And that gives us a total of $2,570 a week. So you can see, again, let's see what the difference is. That's a difference of $454 from your weekly gross compared to the weekly net pay. And then if you want to do it on how much we'll be making per month times 4, that's $10,280 a month. All right, so we'll do one more example here. And I'm going to give you guys actually a couple of minutes to see if you can kind of calculate this out by yourself and see what you come up with. So if you want to pause the video and do the calculations and see what you come up with, and then we'll go through it together. So it's actually telling you your weekly gross already here. So it's $3,007 your blended hourly rate. Again, I don't really look at that, so I'm just going to cross that out. Your hourly taxable rate is $53 an hour. Overtime rate's $79.50. And again, it doesn't say here after how many hours, so that's something to put a question mark by here. Weekly stipend is $1,099, and it's a 13-week contract. So $53 taxable. Then you have your $1,099 divided by 36, which is $30.52. And that comes out to a grand total of $83.52 per hour that you'll be getting paid. And that's what it says right there. Again, I don't really like this calculation, but I'll just show you guys again. And now let's get into the weekly rate. So weekly gross, weekly take home. So it actually tells you here your weekly gross is $3,007. So you don't really need to do any calculations for it, but what they did was take $53 an hour times 36, $1,908, and your stipend is $1,099, which gives you $3,007. And we're in Maine, so let me remember that. And we're making $53 an hour. Change states here and go to Maine. And we're making 53 for 36. And again, we won't change anything. And $377 is our net pay. And then you add in the stipend. Whoops, I should have changed colors this whole time. So plus $1,099. And your net pay is $2,476 a week. And for the month, that would be $9,904 per month. So now you can see if a recruiter were just to tell you that your rate is $53 an hour, it's not really giving you the whole package of what you will be taking home. And if they just kind of tell you the gross pay, I think that's also just misleading. You have to have all of this information so that way you can do all the calculations yourself. So you really need to be getting the hourly rate, your overtime rate, and the meals, housing, stipend rate, and how long the contract is. So I hope this was helpful and that you're able to do these calculations on your own. And next time you're looking at Facebook and or other, any other websites that have travel nurses pay packages, I hope that you can get on there and really calculate your pay.
Another thing to consider, and a final tip here, is what is the cost of living in the location that you're wanting to go to? That's something that's not really calculated in the contracts I showed you. It's kind of something that you will have to research, and in my next video, I'll be talking about how to find housing and how to research markets so that way you get to keep even more of your money. But for certain states, the housing or the market is super expensive. Is it a tax-heavy state like California, for example? And those are additional things to consider when you're looking at a contract overall. And that's just kind of like the little cherry on top when you're looking at all the different cakes per se. And if you have to use all of your stipend on housing, is it really worth it to go there? You have to make that decision for yourself and for your budget. Are you going to be really making the most money if you maybe went with a different location? So that's something that you need to consider when you're looking at 2 different contracts in 2 different states. And you could be wanting to go to Hawaii or California just for the experience, and that's totally okay. And it's something that you need to figure out what's best for you and what your goals are with travel nursing, because there's so much to do and you can explore every single state and have a great time as well. That's a wrap for this video. I hope that you found the breakdown of these 3 different travel nursing contracts super beneficial. When I first started, I had absolutely no idea what any of these terms meant, and I was getting so lost. So I hope that you're able now to go out there, look for contracts, be able to compare them, and know exactly what you will be getting paid because you watched this video and you understand what all these terms mean. So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them below. And I hope you like this video and subscribe to the channel for future content. In the next videos upcoming, we'll be talking about how to find the best housing, how to find agencies and recruiters, and so much more. So I hope you stay tuned. Thank you so much.